Coalition leadership is leadership that involves developing allies and building a coalition of people who support the leader's goals and can help influence others to implement the leader's decisions and achieve the goals. Coalition leaders observe and understand patterns of interaction and influence in the organization. They are skilled at developing connections with a broad network of people and can adapt their behavior and approach to diverse people and situations. They develop positive relationships both within and outside the organization, and they spend time learning others' views and building mutually beneficial alliances. Coalition building seems to be especially important in the political arena. Failing to build a coalition can allow conflict and disagreements to derail a leader's decision, particularly if the opposition builds a powerful coalition of its own. Here's an example at the University of Virginia. The showdown between the first female president and the first female rector of the University of Virginia played out over a period of 18 tumultuous days in front of a cast of thousands. Palace coup meets grassroots rebellion was one political professor's take on this, and he tweeted at the peak of the drama. Teresa Sullivan was shocked when she was told in a meeting with Rector Helen Dragas, the Vice Rector Mark Kington, that the board was unhappy with her performance as the president of the University of Virginia after 2 years on the job, and they wanted her to resign. Presenting her with a separation agreement, Dragas informed Sullivan that they had controlled 15 of the 16 board votes, so her departure was a foregone conclusion. How wrong was she? Dragas might have thought the board was on her side in the decision to oust Sullivan, but she hadn't anticipated the backlash that would come from faculty, students, deans, alumni, and former board members, donors, politicians, and other supporters of Sullivan. Dragas apologized for the way the resignation had been handled and tried to shore up support for her decision, but it was too late. After 2 weeks of turmoil, Mark Kington resigned as vice rector, and the governor of Virginia was threatening to fire the entire board if they didn't resolve the crisis. 6 board members were pushing for Sullivan's reinstatement, 5 opposed it, and 4 votes were up for grabs. A week later, Dragas threw in the towel, stating that it was time to bring University of Virginia family back together. The vote to reinstate Sullivan was unanimous. Leaders can be more successful if they follow 4 steps for effective coalitional leadership. Coalitional leaders do lots of interviews. Leaders conduct informal interviews with people from all across the organization to gather information and to get a clear sense of the challenges and opportunities they face. Coalitional leaders visit customers and other stakeholders. Coalitional leaders solicit the views and input of customers as well as other potentially influential stakeholders such as board members, government agencies, creditors, and others. Coalition leaders develop a map of stakeholder buy-in. Leaders typically find that there are some people who strongly support their goals and plans, some who adamantly oppose them, and a large percentage that could swing either way. Coalition leaders break down barriers and promote cross-silo cooperation. The final critical step in the coalition leadership is continually breaking down barriers and promoting cooperation and collaboration across departments, divisions, and levels. The term Machiavellian is often associated with unscrupulous, even diabolical behavior aimed at increasing one's power for personal gain. But in reality, Machiavelli essentially argument in The Prince is that the welfare of the state must come first and foremost, and that the leaders must often do tough, even ruthless things in the spirit of the ends justifying the means. Jeffrey Pfeiffer, Stanford University professor and an expert on organizational power and politics, referred to the need for leaders to use bare-knuckle strategies to attain the clout they need to accomplish great things. In today's less hierarchical organizations, leaders actually need more power than before to influence people. Many types of leadership are used to influence people. Each style, transformational, charismatic, coalitional, and Machiavellian, relies on different assumptions and behaviors. With Machiavellian style leadership, the leader is willing to use any means necessary to preserve and protect the well-being of the organization. The characteristics of the Machiavellian style leaders include the following. They are always on guard for risks and threats to their power. Machiavellian style leaders assume that people are basically fickle, greedy, and deceitful, so the leader is always alert to shifting loyalties and is not above using manipulation or pitting people against one another to retain or acquire more power to achieve goals. They don't mind being feared. Machiavelli warned that striving to be the most liked leader can backfire when difficult times call for tough actions. They will use deception if necessary. The Machiavellian leader has no problem maintaining or using power by deceptive means to ensure the safety of the organization. And they use rewards and punishments to shape behavior. Machiavellian-style leaders don't mind exploiting the fears and desires of people to get them to follow the rules and do what's necessary for the overall good. Like coalitional leaders, Machiavellian-style leaders are highly political, but coalition leaders focus on reaching out and working with others. Machiavellian-style leaders typically focus on gaining and using individual power. They may strive to gain control over information and resources such as jobs, rewards, financial support, and materials so that people depend on them for what they need, which increases their power. These leaders may also use any means necessary to preserve their power, but they do so because they believe the organization can be secure only if it has powerful leaders. There are times in every organization when tough, even bare-knuckle leadership is needed. Although Machiavellian style leadership appears to be the approach most motivated to gain and use power, all leaders rely on the use of power to influence others and get things done.